Season 7 announced for Natsume's Book of Friends. I figured let's talk about seasons 1 through 6 and the OVAs and the movies and all of that. I don't know if I'm going to catch up by the time season 7 comes out, since it comes out in the fall season this year, but we'll play that by ear. Do apologize to Warrior fans out there. I already had this video prepared a little bit ahead of time, so I still am working on the recap and reviews of 6 through 8 of Warrior. The holidays have had me a little bit busy, but I promise it's coming. Natsume's Book of Friends is one of my favorite anime of all time. I just really love the slice of life drama or genre in general. And yeah, this is going to be a long journey, but definitely a relaxing one. But let's get into it, starting with the first episode. We meet our main character, Natsume, who's running away from yokai, who are supernatural beings like demons and ghosts and such, if you didn't know. Some classmates question what he's doing because they can't see the yokai themselves, and Natsume hides this detail from them. He gives us some exposition that he could see these yokai since he was a young boy. People, even his adopted parents, don't believe him, so he just feels really isolated. He feels his gift's a burden. He hates his gift. He hates the yokai. Natsume is running towards a shrine which keeps yokai away until the yokai stops him and mistakes him for someone named Reiko. Natsume manages to get away and to the shrine only to release a yokai cat by the name of Nyanko Sensei. He also thinks Natsume is Reiko, which he explains that Reiko was his grandmother. Nyanko gives us an exposition about how Reiko was able to see the yokai as well, just like Natsume can, which isolated her as well from other humans. Natsume arrived at home where we meet one of his caretakers, Touko-san, who she's very sweet. He keeps seeing yokai a secret from her though, because when he shared this to others, he was very ostracized from all these people, even his adopted parents. And he likes his connection with Touko-san, who and doesn't want to lose that, even though she even asks, like, she wants to connect with him. Natsume gives us some exposition about how his birth parents passed away when he was really young, and he's moved from relative place to place. Natsume finds the Book of Friends that Nyanko Sensei asked him about before he left from him, and each having the names in calligraphy. Nyanko Sensei attacks Natsume for the book, but is defeated pretty quickly by Natsume, which I don't know if it's a part of his gift or maybe the writer just didn't want Natsume to be helpless all the time. But regardless, I think it's really interesting how strong Natsume is against the yokai. Neko Sensei, whose real name is Madara, but Natsume calls him Nakyo Sensei, so I've grown attached to that one too. He's just a really goofy character, and you know, I love this guy. Anyway, Nakyo Sensei gives exposition that all the names in the books are names of yokai Reiko took, so he asked if he can be Natsume's bodyguard, because, you know, he owes him. If your name is in the book, then you cannot disobey whoever calls upon you. So other yokai really want to obtain this power. Yokai from earlier invade Natsume's home, and then Nyanko Sensei reveals his true form, where he's this giant cat. Natsume still overpowers Nyanko Sensei and makes a deal with him to be his bodyguard, as he is back to the names in the book. And when he does die, he can have the book, which doesn't seem like a fair deal to Nyanko Sensei, because if he doesn't have any names left, like, but I guess he could always get them back. And whatever, it gets them to the point. Nyanko Sensei does trust him to at least keep the deal, which I think reflects on some of the themes of the series of forgiveness and compassion towards others, which I love. Nyanko has a pretty dynamic, like, fluid fight with one of the yokai, which, yeah, this episode has some cool cinematography to it, really making the limited animation pop a little bit more. Speaking of the animation, I really like how the calligraphy comes off the page in this scene of Natsume going, you giving the name to the yokai. We get a flashback of Reiko meeting this yokai. The two make a connection because they are both lonely. So when Reiko didn't call on this yokai anymore because she passed away, this yokai named Hishigaki is lonely again. Giving the yokai Hishigaki her name back and knowing Reiko wasn't alone, Hishigaki is able to move on from this world. We end this episode with Natsume still wanting to connect with these yokai despite the hardships he's going to face in the future. And Nyakyo Sensei is going to help him on the way, and he's a little less alone now, which is really nice. And I like the two's goofy shenanigans at the end of this episode. Yeah, episode 1, I think this was a pretty good. Laying out all the exposition we didn't need to know with some solid cinematography. Besides there's this whitish filter in the color grading that does bother me a bit. Despite all that, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. All right, well, I hope you all have a cozy rest of your Easter, and I will see you all next time.